dig in. Hello! Welcome to Angular Routing. I hope that by the end of this lesson, each and every one of you will be able to route between simple routes in an Angular app. We'll keep this one pretty light. I think routing, especially Angular's routing, is pretty good. And like very straightforward, simple, shouldn't hurt your head too much. Let's talk about some SPA routing ideas in general, though. I think that the simplest way to understand routing in an SPA is it's another one of these template kind of things. I like to think of it as it's like the HTML document has a hole punched in it. And so we can have stuff here that's on every page, like a header and a footer and maybe like a sidebar or something. And then this thing here is like a hole in the template that we can render another component in. That's the gist of SPA routing in every routing framework. Angular calls these outlets. And when you navigate to a page, you don't actually load that HTML document. You instruct the router to put whatever component you go to into that outlet. So you also don't use real links, because you can still have real links, like especially ones that go to external sites and stuff. You still need the ability to do a normal link. So what you have instead is a directive on your links that tell the router what thing you want to show in that outlet. And then it fills in that template with whatever component you told it to. Questions thus far?
So you don't have traditional links. You just have like a view window, which would be the outlet. Whatever you click on routes whatever to that view window. Okay.
Absolutely. Now it gets even wilder than that. We can nest routes. And so if the thing that you are putting into that little like placeholder, so that's just some component, well, that component can also have an outlet. And so this goes all the way down. That's the idea of a nested route. That we might have something like this, and then maybe its children have that thing's fixed, and then this thing is also an outlet. So you have routes that render inside of routes. I don't know that we'll go that far with our Angular stuff, but just want that on your radar that that's a possible thing. The number one thing I see people screw up with SPA routing is that it doesn't have anything to do with your data. Really doesn't. It has to do with your layout. If you have a nested layout, you have nested routes. If you have a flat layout, you have flat routes. I'll show you what I mean by nested routes. So simple routing is this whole area from these things all the way down all of that is in an outlet. This stuff in the header and the nav bar, that's outside of any outlet. It's on every single page. And then I can click around here, and all it's doing is swapping out what component is displaying down here.
Do you have to set the other components to be hidden whenever you do that?
No. All I need to say is which component should be inside of here. Like all of the rest of it, taking the old stuff out of the DOM, putting new stuff into the DOM, the router handles all of that.
How do you do that?
With the router. So your router, its job is to map a path to a component. So if the path is this, render this component. If the path is this, render this component. And then that all gets rendered inside the outlet. When you navigate to a different path, your router checks to see which component goes with that path, and if it's a different one, it renders that. This one also has a nested route in it. That's these things here. See how this, like the 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, the units, those are on every single page in curriculum. It's the thing below it that changes. That's nested routing. I'm on the curriculum page. The curriculum view component has all of this stuff. And another outlet that renders the actual posts. Could have done that more nested. I could have done that less nested. It just has to do with whatever the visual design of your page is.
I have a question.
Yeah.
Is the router keeping track like which link is active?
Yes. Yes, it is. And you can access that from any component.
Okay.
More high-level questions so far. Cool. One other vocab word I'm going to give you. A component that you route to, that like would go in an outlet like this, is a view. It's not technically any different than a component. It's the exact same thing. But it's a matter of purpose. If it's meant to be routed to, it's a view. If it's meant to be to encapsulate something or isolate something or make something reusable, it's a component. Technically speaking, they're both components. But from an intention standpoint, something that's supposed to be routed to, we call those views. That's cross-framework also. All right, let's see what it looks like. Get rid of that service practice one. Actually, I'm going to keep that one. All right, so follow along with me if you'd be so kind. npx at Angular CLI new Angular routing practice. Would I like to add Angular routing? Why, yes, I would. Go ahead and hit yes for that. That was Angular routing practice. All right, let's try that again. Would I like to add Angular routing? Why, yes, I would. So routing comes in through another module, just like HTTP does. So that'll get added for us automatically, and it'll be scaffolded out with routes we can kind of use as a baseline. A route has a path and a component. So let's take a look. Go ahead and fire up the server. Sure. Cool. It looks like this. The only part of the router we need to be concerned with is this routes array. That's it. Pretty cool. Each route will have a path and a component. So I'm going to generate 3 components. I'm going to generate A, B, and C. So that'll be npx ng generate component A. B. C. Then I'm going to import them to the router. I'm going to port A from A, and then B, and then C, and then over here, I'll say that that's the home route. That'll display in my outlet when I haven't picked anything else. If the path is B, route to the B component. If it's C, route to the C component. What's this thing mad about? No default export? I don't believe that for a second. A component TS. Oh, a component. That makes sense. And these are A component, B component, C component. That's routing. If it's localhost, whatever the fuck, /C, that component goes in the outlet. Localhost, whatever the fuck, B component shows up. If it's just localhost, A component shows up.
So that would only show whatever's on the HTML for that component, correct?
In the outlet gets replaced with whatever the contents of that component are.
Okay.
And so we can, if you head over to the app component HTML file, where it's got all the boilerplate, go ahead and get rid of all that. We can have something like a nav bar that will always be there. And maybe this has anchor tags. Like this. And then right below that, we could have a router outlet. Whatever the currently active route is, we'll just replace that. That's the hole that we punched in our template to display a component in. So let's take a look at what we've done. We made 3 components. In the routing module that Angular CLI made, we added 3 routes. Then over in the template, we added a router outlet. Let's see where this actually ended up serving. It is localhost. Four, 5, 7, 6, 3. 4201 would have been fine. 4, 5, 1, 6, 3. Nope.
In the
4, 5,
path, you have
7.
to remove the slash.
You do? I thought that might be the case.
It should be just an empty string if
Just-
it needs
just
to
an
be the
empty string?
redirect.
Yeah, that's too bad. All right, there we go. All right, so that's our index route. This A component, if it doesn't match anything, it's an index. So that's what goes in router outlet. And then to, let's see if I can come up and find the example. Then to actually link to something, we do this router link directive. So instead of having an href here, that becomes ng or Angular router link, and then what we want the URL to be. So a thing that's like, I don't know why this started. This was not how this used to work, and now every routing library does this. I think it's kind of dumb. The links have like the leading slash, but the paths don't. I don't know. It was better when I was a kid. So, oops. I do that, check it out. Watch the URL, watch the component that's displaying. Routing. Ask me some questions about it.
Was there, I was kind of coming from behind. Was there anything in the app component TypeScript file that you changed there?
Nope. Oh, the app component TypeScript. I don't think I did either. Nope.
Okay.
All we did was add some routes, put the default components in there, add some links, add an outlet.
Okay.
These determine what the active route is. If one of them isn't selected, it goes to the index route. Otherwise, these change it. Whatever component matches the current path ends up being what router outlet turns into.
Can you display two components at the same time, or would it be better to just merge them in their own?
Like you would have like a parent component that would
Okay.
Just house both of them.
Okay.
React's router is a little bit different, but this is what the routing, that's what most of the routing looks like in the LMS. So they have it like the routes are part of the template, kind of. But if the path matches that, then render that component. If the path matches that, that's your something went wrong. The app loading. LDS circle, you say? Oh, hey, what do you know? This is the thing that makes that little blue spinning circle. If it matches inbox, show the inbox component. That's a good example of a view. Just a component that you route to. Questions?
This answers so many questions.
Hey, happy to hear it. Yeah, Angular routing is not especially complicated.
So really, anywhere the user's gonna be clicking on anything, we should have a router link.
If you want it to stay in the app, you can also have links that are like, and just work like normal. That's fine too. But if it's supposed to navigate you somewhere else in the app, that's what router link is for.
Which one's the index again? The slash?
Yeah, so this says, take me back to the index. And then this one, since it doesn't have a path, that's the index.
Where would we use redirects?
You would use redirects if I'll give you a great example. So let's say with that index, notice that these have like the name of the thing in there. Maybe I still want that to be like A. But I still need an index route. What happens when nothing's selected? And so what I do instead is make that a redirect. So if the path is nothing, redirect to A. And watch what happens when I stop it. Watch what happens when I load up the page now. So if I go just to this, watch the URL, it breaks. What is it mad about? Invalid configuration of path match? All right.
Yeah. At the end, you have to add a path match of full.
Oh, that's just another property?
Mm-hmm.
When you say it loads the index, does it also include the app component HTML?
Yes.
Or just, okay.
Because that's the thing that's rendering here. The router outlet, so this will always show up on every single page. There's no way to not make those show up. If there was any routes that where those shouldn't show up, then that's actually not part of the app component HTML. It's also possible for the router outlet to be the only thing that's in your top level component. That's fine too. But if there are things that should show up on every page, that's where you'd put them. All right, now that I got that working, watch what happens to the URL when I go to just the root. It redirects me to A. That's redirecting.
Can you show your routing module again? So for the redirect path, we have a slash.
Right, because it works the same like a link.
That's amazing.
Right? All right, one more thing I want to show you with this. Dynamic segments. So let's say I had another component that was like Pokemon listing. And I make a route for it that's like Pokemon slash name or something. That's Pokemon listing component. Import it. All right. So the way that you do a dynamic segment, you start it with a colon like this, and then when you load that component, you can pull that value out. This is how you would do something like have one Pokemon listing thing, and like that same component gets used for Pikachu and Bulbasaur and Charizard. So then like a link to that might be something like Pokemon listing Pikachu. Squirtle. So those are going to match that route with the dynamic segment. And the name of the Pokemon is going to be available inside of the component. So if I head over to that component, Parnell, you seem to be sharp on this. Do you know what the thing I import is?
Routes. Activated route. Sorry.
All right.
Activated route.
Import activated route. And then, why is this mad at me all of a sudden? It's right there. And then activated route has, shoot. Do I have to instantiate it? Is that it?
You bring it in through the constructor.
Ah, I see.
Like how we did the HTTP one.
Got it. You inject it. Man, what did I break here? I screwed up some syntax. Oh, maybe it's just the server. Pokemon? Is that what I actually did? Nope. Nope, that's the same. Alright, I'm just going to restart it. Routing module. Not mad at me. And Pokemon listing component. There we go. Alright, so I should be able to do something like this dot current Pokemon equals this dot route dot name. And do a current Pokemon string. And then what is it on the actual thing that you inject, Parnell?
Dot snapshot, dot paren map, dot get.
There we go. String or null is not assignable to string. There we go. All right, so when I do that and I check out the template for this, Pokemon listing component HTML, instead of that, current Pokemon. All right, let's see if it worked. Pokemon listing component was not found. In Pokemon listing component.
Oh, it's doing the Pokemon thing.
Oh, apparently I did screw it up. That's why I was mad. All right, moment of truth. I can see A, I can see B, I can see C. I break it when I click that. Let's see what it might. Couldn't match any routes. Pokemon listing. Oh, it's because it's just Pokemon. App component HTML. Yeah. We just say Pokemon, buddy. Because it needs to match whatever I said here. All right, let's try that again. And it got Pikachu. Oh, snap. I got to find... Ember used to have this same problem. This is the thing that sucks about this style of routing. since it's the same component, it doesn't know that it got updated. There's a hack for that. I'll figure out what it is. But
Okay, yeah. So if you click off and click C and then go back to Squirtle, it'll update. But otherwise, it doesn't know to update.
Yeah, because it's the same component for each one. It goes, oh, cool. I don't need to route because it's the same component. Here, let me look it up real quick. Angular router, same route, different segment. There we go. So if I head back to my Pokemon listing components TypeScript file, and then over in the constructor, I can kind of configure the router for this. Oops. Or, so I also need to bring in the router. All right, now how's it like it? Pikachu, Squirtle, Pikachu, Squirtle. There you go. So the trick there was this. We had to also inject the router service, not just the route service. And then we can clean that up a little bit. And just shorten it to that. Should still work. Yep. That's dynamic segments. You identify what you want to call it. That's what gets used over here. You link to it, which is just like that. And so then Pikachu is going to be the name, and then Squirrel is going to be the name, whichever one I go to. They all use the same component, and that component can bring in the route and the router, configure that, pull out the name from the path. And then we could use that to look something up from a service or do whatever we need to do to get that data. Questions about routing? Awesome. It's kind of long and short of it, man. Not too crazy. All right, feel free to hang out here, and let's get our end of day started.